Nobody saw this coming. Just as Egghead Island was finally underway, Oda threw us a massive curveball. But how did this happen? Why did it happen? Well, time to find out. Let's get into it. We open One Piece chapter 1063 on Luffy, Chopper, and Bonnie having stuffed themselves so full they look like novelty beach balls. These three gluttons are finally content with the amount of food they've had and are happily musing about how much the rest of the crew would appreciate this wonderful device. Chopper, however, is smart enough to realize that maybe Sanji will be less than enthusiastic, which is a pretty sensible call. A machine that could replace a chef outright, making food without personal attention and care? Sanji would probably destroy the device before even sampling its food. And maybe you're thinking Sanji's a professional chef, so he shouldn't be intimidated by an overgrown McDonald's machine. However, this machine was overgrown by Dr. Vegapunk, so we're talking about like Gordon Ramsay, the robot. But then again, if there's one thing Sanji hates, it is wasted food. We might see some internal conflict there. Anyways, the three happy pirates are just laying there in the wreckage of their fast food feast as their bellies are finally full. Dr. Vegapunk Atlas is impressed by the enthusiasm for her work. It must be nice for someone used to having to deal with budget committees to see people just enjoying a device she made. Thankfully, the group aren't left lying in the middle of a mountain of greasy packaging for long. We then meet another invention of Punk Atlas, an adorable robotic dog designed to chow down on anything that needs recycling. Food waste, paper, plastic, this little guy will eat it all. Now that she's greeted her visitors, however, Punk Atlas unfortunately needs to go back to work. She gives the Straw Hats a wave before heading out, noting that if she doesn't run riot, no one will. And we soon see what she means by that as the tiny giant Punk takes to the skies and gets back to punching the holographic space dragon. I guess it's only fitting that the Wrath Punk has a job like this. Though it's hard to see what use violently assaulting holograms could be for Egghead Island. Do they get rowdy if left unattended for too long? Luffy and Bonnie are left to watch Atlas get back to punching. The pirates are just as unsure of what the point of Atlas's job is. However, this is when we get our first glimpse of Egghead's regular inhabitants. A procession of small people emerges, walking past the pirate team. They've all got small earpieces with aerials, matching the one Lilith used last time to talk to Shaka. Their footwear also seem to be the same design as Punk Atlas's jet boots. That has to be convenient for getting around. A few more figures join them, one of which appears to be P-22 from last chapter, while the other is wearing a hood that makes him look like Finn from Adventure Time. The little procession walks past the pirate group, not talking to them. They evidently have somewhere to be. Probably a crazy machine in need of attention somewhere on Egghead. Interestingly, none of them are talking to each other either. The whole procession is silent despite the headpieces. Chopper wonders who these new figures could be. Bonnie is sure that they are Vegapunk's lab assistants, but doesn't have more to add than that. Jinbei points out that this whole area was deserted until just a moment ago. There were no signs of people being here working before Punk Atlas showed up. Just the big monster holograms. Could Vegapunk's workers have been hiding until they were sure the Straw Hats were friendly? Or is something weirder going on? There's no way to find out more for now. Bonnie instead bemoans their outfit choice. The island aircon makes the temperature inside Egghead Island tropical. It is far too warm for the winter outfits they were originally sporting. This adventure is going to be highly uncomfortable unless they can find a change of clothes. However, Luffy is a solid step ahead of her. The Straw Hats captain already found a brand new outfit for himself, specifically a futuristic looking coat with SSG on the helm and Punk on the sleeve. It's a surprising choice for Luffy's new look for this arc, should he stick with it. It makes our freewheeling captain look like a member of the Special Science Group. There's a general uniform vibe to the design. Luffy even has the accessories to back it up. He's wearing the same headset as Vegapunk's associates and is sporting a matching set of jet boots. If he discovers what those things can do, it is going to be hard to contain his excitement. And I must say, man, the New World has been very fascinating for Luffy aesthetically. This man has not been in his iconic fit forever. Hear me out here, what other MC, what other main character in any shonen is able to pull this off or has pulled this off? To the best of my knowledge, Luffy has not sported his signature attire since Fishman Island. Not consistently at least. Punk Hazard? Different. Dressrosa? Different. Whole Cake Island? Different. Wano? Different. And now Egghead? Different. It's very fascinating stuff. The whole outfit looks pretty hefty, but Luffy comments on how light it feels. Bonnie questions where that new wardrobe came from. Luffy is happy to direct her to the massive fashion machine right behind them. There is so much stuff in Egghead, it can be hard to notice things like that. Bonnie is excited at the prospect of free clothes to go with her free meal. Her own outfit is still sticky with seawater after all. That is generally a very uncomfortable feeling, but I imagine for a devil fruit user it's probably a lot worse. But soon enough she is inside the fashion machine, selecting a battle uniform for herself. A few seconds later and all of our characters have changed. Chopper and Bonnie basically match Luffy's look. Bonnie going for more of a skin tight number that shows some ankle, while Chopper's got a half helmet to go with his adorable little coat and gloves. Jinbei alone has gotten to show some individuality, opting instead for a tropical shirt and pants. The others may be getting into the futuristic spirit, but the first son of the sea is just happy to have clothes that fit the weather. And good on him. The grounded look suits Jinbei nicely. These outfits would have made a superb set of disguises, but given how much of a fuss E4 have already made, it is probably too late for that. Bonnie is content to head off for now. The group has made it to Egghead Island safely, and she is down to go find weapons and deal with Vegapunk. That was her mission, and it is her responsibility to see it through. She'll handle her business without bothering the Straw Hats further. She's about to leave when Luffy stops her. He has spotted Kuma coming this way, and it seems like the big guy is looking for them specifically. Goes to show that Luffy's observation hockey is always on point. We get a better look of this oncoming Kuma, and this one looks more impressive than a regular pacifista. He's sporting heavy armor, complete with massive shoulder pads and jet boots. It's hard not to get Judge Dredd vibes off this massive officer of the law. This Dread Kuma towers above the lab workers as he plods along towards the Straw Hats location. He's even got sunglass style lenses worked into his eyes for a cool cop style fashion thing. Interestingly, the island's inhabitants show no reaction to the arrival of the pacifista. Likely, they're pretty common on the island. Vegapunk probably has a whole police force of the things to provide security. Luffy can tell the giant cyborg is about to charge at them. He warns the rest of his team, trying to get them clear of the assault. However, he is a second too late. Officer Kuma is sprinting right at the 4 pirates and charging his mouth laser. And he just so happens to be a very trigger-happy cop as well. The Straw Hats scramble to get away as the pacifista's robotic voice plays a warning. It has detected thieves. It has registered clothing and provisions as stolen. The pirates are confused. Why did the stuff just pop out of the press of a button if it wasn't free? Punk Atlas mentioned the lab's lack of resources, but these machines don't have an option to put berries in them. Vegapunk may be good at branding, but either their payment mechanism is vastly overcomplicated, or they just forgot that part. Regardless, it is a moot point as Kuma's laser reduces the entire area to rubble. That has to have wrecked both the fashion machine and the food dispenser. It's probably totaled a few other devices too. Not to mention some of the island's inhabitants had to have been caught up in that massive explosion. He has done more damage in a moment than the Straw Hats' entire feast could have managed. And so I think we're starting to see why Egghead Island goes to research funds so quickly. Thankfully the pirates get clear of the blast. The pirate quartet are ready to defend themselves, although they aren't enthusiastic about getting into a fight. This is a government island after all, but they aren't going to last long against Kuma like this. Running is also a bad idea considering they don't know where to even go. They need to take the explosion-happy Kuma down, even if just to defend the local area from mass destruction. As such, Luffy jumps forward, winding up a nice attack to scrap with the pacifista, only for Bonnie to kick Luffy out of the way, and hard. This sends the Straw Hat Captain flying and gives Dread Kuma the time to fire a second massive laser blast. This one does hit the pirates, knocking them about while causing even more property damage. Luffy yells at Bonnie for her meddling. Kuma is trying to kill them all. They have to take him down. They can't just avoid a fight here. Bonnie doesn't have an answer for him. She can't argue with Luffy's logic. Even now, the pacifista is charging its laser again. But Bonnie's crying as she finally admits the truth to her new friends. This is her father. None of the Straw Hats can believe it. They're all shocked as Bonnie confirms what she meant earlier. Kuma is the only family she's got. She begs the group not to hurt her father. Tears are pouring from her eyes as we get a glimpse of a long-distant memory. For the first time, we see a non-cyborg Bartholomew Kuma laughing as he holds a young Bonnie aloft. Jewelry Bonnie, the woman we were introduced to as the pinnacle of practicality over emotion. The woman who lectured Zoro about getting himself killed is now sitting on the ground wailing as Kuma, or rather a pacifista, prepares to blast her to bits. She is lost in the memories of her childhood, unable to process what has become of her father. That is what trauma can do to a person. Luffy reaches out, trying to pull his unfortunate friend clear of Dread Pacifista's blast. Even as his hand goes out, Kuma fires a third and final laser. The entire scene is engulfed in light. The trees shake and ground crumbles away. And that is where we leave our heroes for the moment. We go instead to a certain sea in the New World. And while we only see it from behind, it is clear we are following the Saber of Jabek, Blackbeard's flagship. The sails are full of wind, all unfurled. This is a ship going at full tilt across the ocean. Marshal de Teach has not been idle since his defeat at Amazon Lily. Even though we can't see him yet, the mighty commander makes it very clear who is leading this mission. There is a massive spray of water rising from either side of the Saber. Teach has just used the Guruguru no Mi to create a seaquake, even though there don't seem to be any other ships on the sea at present. We soon see why, however. Beneath the ocean surface, we find the Polar Tang, the ship of the Heart Pirates. And it is not doing so well. A ton of air bubbles are rising from the Heart Pirates vessel, making it clear they have taken on leaks. One of the crew desperately tries to plug the holes as Law's men start calling to one another. They can't take another hit like that from Blackbeard. The water pressure would outright crush the Tang. They're going to need to surface, or else everyone is going to be crushed or drowned. The Blackbeard pirates will be right at their heels, but there is land northeast of here. At least that would give them firm ground to fight on. Law is in favor of that plan, ordering the crew to prepare for battle. However, it is here that we see something bizarre has happened. Law has been gender swapped, as has Beppo, who is now sporting an adorable head of hair atop his head fur. Now hilariously enough, the Heart Pirates are quite overcome by their boss's adorable new form. However, some sharply delivered threats from Law reminds them swiftly that the same old Law is lurking underneath. This is a serious moment. They are in a fight for their lives. The captain isn't going to tolerate any comic relief from his men at a time like this. Besides, the gender flipping is actually a part of the Blackbeard Pirates attack. We see it spreading throughout the crew as Law theorizes about its intent. This strange illness is making the crew jumpy, distracting them, and encouraging them to separate. That is inevitable with a contagious disease, even one with no apparent deadly effects. This is a great way to sow confusion and division amongst the group, just at the point when the Heart Pirates need to be coming together and focusing on the fight. However, Law actually has a counter for this attack. As he explains to the crew, he knows that devil fruit powers can be fought off by using a great deal of hockey. Logically, this crazy illness has to be no different. Even with how weird the One Piece world is, this has to be a devil fruit power. Even as the Polar Tang finally surfaces, Law is concentrating. Finally, we see him start to use his usual appearance. We see that the Heart Pirates have docked at that nearby island soon enough. The Blackbeard crew can make them out even while they're still a fair distance away. Doc Q is acting as he sabers outlook, flying over the scene on Stronger. The not-so-good doctor is quite impressed by the Heart Pirate's performance in nullifying his disease. You would expect him to be infuriated at the loss, but Doc Q is quite philosophical about it. After all, Law's worth 3 billion berries. Q expected this wouldn't be enough to take the Heart Pirates down. Besides, the Doc knows that any disease can only last so long. Sooner or later, antibodies will develop and everyone gets better. Anyways, the Doc is still satisfied with the work he has accomplished thanks to the Shiku no Mi. A dough fruit that allows someone to brew diseases is going to be lethal in a physician's hands. Doc Q almost manages a smile for his fellow Blackbeard pirates as he notes how entertaining this particular virus was. He has even given it an appropriately punny name, the Ma Lady. It's nice to see that this particular near-death state hasn't robbed Q of his sense of humor. Still, the other Blackbeard captains aren't here for jokes. They are just here to win. Von Augur takes point, teleporting Jesus Burgess to the island ahead of the rest of the crew. The Blackbeard snipers consume the Wapu Wapu no Mi, which lets him reposition people in an instant. Even as they disembark from the Polar Tang, the Heart Pirates raise a cry. They have been beaten here. Someone is already in the woodland, closer to the heart of the island. An ominous snapping sound echoes over the bay. Law braces himself for whatever is about to happen. And that is something none of us could have expected as Jesus Burgess lifts up a freaking mountain over his head. It turns out that the Blackbeard crew have collected a fine crop of devil fruits by this point. The man who lost back at Dressrosa is now ready to rumble once again, stronger than ever. Burgess is sporting the Riki Riki no Mi, or Power fruit, and it lives up to its name. The Heart Pirates just stare in disbelief at this display of pure muscle. Law himself muses on it. In this battle alone, they have seen the Blackbeard crew display a host of unbelievable powers. Superhuman strength, teleportation, bizarre contagions. Teach's men have gone out of their way to hunt down insane and devastating powers. It is no surprise that their bounties have gone stratospheric. Meanwhile, I don't think anyone would disagree with me when it comes to the fact that Law's crew is dookie butter. These guys cannot compete. Who does he have? Beppo? Is Beppo gonna face Jesus Burgess? Come on now. Law is the only member of this crew who's about anything. And listen, that's no disrespect. Shout out to the Heart Pirates. They saved Luffy during Wano. But these guys are not ready for this action. They are not ready for the hands, especially not with the Blackbeard Pirates. These guys have those dirty hands. These are just foul creatures. These guys will knock them down. There's no way the Heart Pirates stand a chance as a crew. But still, appreciating their hard work will not save you from Marshall D. Teach and his 10 Titanic captains. Burgess makes good on his plan, throwing the entire mountain right at the Heart Pirates in an instant. The hulking pile of rock and flora sails over the air straight towards the beach. Law's crew start to panic at that, which is very reasonable. What would anyone do in this situation? How are you even supposed to dodge an entire mountain being thrown at you? Bro, the Hulk from Marvel struggled to lift a mountain. That is one of his greatest feats. This man is just throwing him around like it's nothing. And so yeah, in this case, the correct answer is you parry it. Law activates his room and the mountain falls to pieces around the Heart Pirates. The power of the Opi Opi no Mi is nothing to trifle with. Even an attack like that won't faze the Surgeon of Death. The crew cheer at this impressive feat from their captain, but the group's good mood does not last very long. The flying horse from before has arrived, and it is carrying a far more imposing figure. The new arrival declares that it has been a while since they last met Law. Evidently, they did not part on good terms. Law has his blade drawn, demanding to know what this stranger wants. However, he is not doing well. Between the hockey burns to throw off the gender swap and the effort needed to disassemble the mountain, Law is growing tired. He's struggling for breath, gasping, and sweating. Still, he's a captain, and he won't show weakness in front of his crew. He grips onto his sword tight and refuses to step away. The stranger chides Law for his hostility towards a fellow member of the worst generation. And with that, we get Marshall D. Teach showing up in person. He's been carried here by Stronger, who has also partaken of a devil fruit. Specifically, the struggling horse has eaten the Uma Uma no Mi model Pegasus. This was unfortunately not enough to give Stronger the muscles needed to carry Blackbeard. Of course, the very badly named horse is now struggling to remain airborne. It doesn't help that Teach just jumped onto the poor animal's back without even waiting for Doc Q to get off. The horse and Doctor squirm beneath Blackbeard's hefty weight, the physician pleading with his Commodore to consider lightening the load. Blackbeard, however, is unconcerned, just resting his hand on Q's head while talking with Law. Teach is excited for this moment. Now that Big Mom and Kaido are gone, the world has officially been turned on its head. Old legends don't matter. They are out of the running. Now anyone is in with a shot at glory. Anyone has an equal chance of becoming the Pirate King, which is why he is pursuing the Wano trio. He figured one of them would show up here sooner or later. Teach is very well informed about the geography of the Grand Line. Now with that, Blackbeard is very bold. Very bold. I am questioning how he would have approached things if it were to be the Straw Hats who emerged instead of the Heart Pirates. He's not after just eliminating potential rivals, however. He is chasing the road poneglyphs. Kaido undoubtedly had one. The three captains who beat him must have taken the information from it. Law's got that set of poneglyph marks aboard the Tang at a minimum. He might even have more thanks to his dealings with the Straw Hats. Whatever the case, Teach is happy to take everything related to the poneglyph off his hands. It'll make his own path to Laugh Tale much easier. Law manages to grin back, revealing that he was thinking along similar lines. Teach must have also been searching for poneglyphs, and he has had years to do it. Odds are good he must have taken the rubbings of one by this point. Law might be able to complete his own set today. It's time for them to square off, winner takes all. Which sounds nice on paper, but Blackbeard isn't exactly very trustworthy, is he? We are not going to be seeing just a straight up one-on-one versus him and Law. Although to be fair, it's not like Law's got much of a choice here. Things are not looking good for him at all. He might have one of the most potent devil fruits in all of One Piece, but the Blackbeard Pirates do not play fair. What's even worse is that he's already clearly tired from the chase. It is very hard to see this battle going well for him. But what do you think? Does Law have a shot here? His devil fruit can pull off some crazy stuff. We'll have to wait and see. Let us know in the comments what you may think. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.